I think your seat is more squeaky than mine.
You might be right. I'll drive along with my hand on it. That's elegant and dignified.
And it's legal, is it? To drive along
probably
with one
not.
hand. They haven't yet made it illegal to drive along with one hand, have they? Have they made it illegal to drive along with one hand and do anything useful with the other hand? So you can drive along looking elegant and soigné, rather like David Niven, but you can't do anything with this now freed up hand.
Well, people have been nicked by the Rozzers for, well, famously a year or two back, a woman eating an apple while she was driving along.
People have eaten apples while they're driving along since the year dot. I mean, it's a very natural, healthy thing to do when you're driving along, isn't it? You know, and you can always drop the apple and put your hands back on the wheel. You can't drop a hot cup of coffee. Admittedly, you can drop an apple.
Yes, the real danger is eating a red-hot pasty.
But I have to say, you know, off the record, I've eaten some extremely hot steak and kidney pies going along, and they have frequently been so hot that my mouth has been scalded, and I've been unable not to drop them and make a fantastic mess of my shirt.
Have you ever, in desperation, bought something like a beef and onion pie, hot, to eat in the car, and you sit with it there on your lap, and after a while you think, well, that's cooled down, it feels, and you bite it, and of course the inside is like
It's like molten lead.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you go ag, and you drop it, and it lands. The really hot juice lands
Straight upon,
frankly, on your penis and boils it as you're driving along.
Your
You
nether
can't do
regions
anything
become
about
volcanic.
it. You're just driving along going,
Yes, you go,
So that you can't.
But the only thing I would demur there is I didn't buy the beef and onion pie out of desperation. I bought it out of love for beef and onion pie.
Yes, well, of course, I did. But what I mean is eating it in the car is slightly desperate, because really you should stop and sit on a bench.
I know, but somehow one thinks one hasn't got time. And actually, there is something secretly rather attractive about eating in a car, because it's sort of stolen eating moments.
It does make a mess, and I don't like mess in the car, as you know, and that's something I need to talk to you about at some time very soon on this trip, but I don't want to fall out about it now, so I'll save it.
Oh, well, we'll fall out about it later then,
Yes.
shall we? But do you know why public houses are called public houses?
Because they are houses where the public could go and sleep when they were travelling.
No. When you brewed beer in the old days, basically it didn't last long. So, and everyone brewed it in the house. It didn't have brewers. So basically, the idea was that when a house had brewed some beer, all the neighbours would come around and drink the beer in that house. So before it went off, and then the next house they'd brewed a beer, and everyone went back and brewed it in their place. And so it meant in a community, and they used to run flags up, so that, you know, when there was a flag above your house, it meant that you'd been brewing beer. So everybody turned up at your place and drank the beer. And when they'd finished your beer, so someone else would have been brewing. And when it was ready, and before it went off, because beer went off very quickly in those days, they'd all go around to their place and then the other place. So that's why they were called public houses.
So your house became public whilst you had beer?
It was a public house whilst we had beer. And that's where, and eventually, of course, some people got better at it, and some people thought, hey, we can make something out of this. And they started, you know, putting their flag up more often. And that's eventually where the whole idea of those, you know, those signs outside came, because they began to sort of say, well, let's, a flag that isn't as good as a wooden sign saying, you know, the
cock and spanner,
the cock and spanner, or the three fat horsemen and the happy brewer.
No, you're going to have to obviously be a bit more gentle than that.
Sorry.
Now a bit of left-handy.
Which left in happening at the moment.
Yeah.
If I do that.
Other way.
That way.
Yeah, but only for a bit. And then you have to turn the car
That way? No.
Other way. I think you might have overshot. I can't see.
Now there's something I can't quite work out. I want to sort of straighten the car up.
Look, there's not enough windows on this car.
I'm confused. I'm actually paralysed. I know that I'm supposed to do something now, and I think the point is I'm not really used to driving with my head out of the back of a car like this.
Shall I get out?
What about this
Guide
way?
you?
Start again.
A bit more left hand down to get it going the other way. A bit more left hand down.
Left.
Left. Right, now right hand down. Go very slowly, turn the wheel very quickly, that's good. Keep going like that, slowly, a bit more right hand down. Right, straight, wait, other way, you're going too quickly, other way, you're going too quickly, left! You've got to go really slowly, you've already overdone it, You've overdone it, you won't be able to get it back.
I will.
Start again.
Now.
Right now, won't stop. Yeah. Turn the wheel the other way, to the right.
The other way?
Yeah, turn it right.
It's not fully right. It's not gone far enough.
I know, but it will now keep going that way because the angle between the car and the caravan is greater than the angle you can get on the steering.
I can't find the accelerator actually. Do people honestly do this?
Okay, just go back a bit, see what happens.
Back where?
Backwards.
Well, I know probably I was so amusing. When you say go back, it's perfectly normal to ask back where?
Backwards.
Backwards.
Just go backwards a bit. I want to see what happens.
You're a dolt.
I want to see if it comes into view.
It won't. It won't. It's now going wrong.
Shall I get out and guide you?
Well, you haven't done much good in the car.
Well, I can't see.
Well, if I was doing it,
Well, you're going to make it turn more tightly.
I'm trying to make it turn less tight.
Exactly. So you want to go right hand down, but
right hand down. The whole thing is just going to go round in a circle.
You've almost done it. You've just overshot a bit. Start again.
Start again?
I reckon.
Is there any way of not? There's no way of not.
Yeah, I think you have to start again. But you got it. You did it right. You were just a bit late.
Do we have to have it all on the concrete?
Yeah. Otherwise, the legs won't work.
If I get it round,
you won't get it round from there. You're already on the grass. Now you've bust car.
the car's stalled.
Here's a question for you, though. England has over the years made a great deal of beer, a great variety of beer. It is sort of the home of interesting beer, really. Why has England never made whiskey?
First, it didn't need to, because the Scots were doing it for them. And it does take about 8 years to mature a decent whiskey normally. And maybe they didn't want to. But it is an interesting point. We've made all this beer. Gin has been a massively important British drink. But whiskey never has. It may be, of course, that until about 50 or 60 years ago, the English didn't really drink whiskey very much.
Did they not?
I wouldn't be surprised if the English were not whiskey drinkers, and the whiskey drinkers were the Scots and probably the Americans, because of course America liked whiskey, a lot of Scots in America, and during Prohibition, of course, Prohibition meant that most of the spirits drunk in America were during Prohibition. Most of the spirits that were drunk in America would have been illegally distilled, and probably bathtub rubbish. So it meant that when you could actually get a real whiskey, it was greatly prized. And when Prohibition finished, the real whiskey brands, which had stuck to quality, swamped America and became fantastically popular over there. The real McCoy, you know that phrase, the real McCoy?
Yes.
That's a Prohibition term.
Yes, I'd heard this.
Yes. Meaning that McCoy's whiskey, the real McCoy, as against the fake McCoy, was the one who said, oh, you got the real McCoy, as against you've got the rubbish McCoy. And the whiskey's export market was created by Prohibition. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm afraid the tape's running out, so we'll have to stop there, viewers. Our first contestant this evening is the celebrated Wine Ponds professional Irishman and Fat Ed, Oz Clarke, whose specialist subject is pork scratchings. Mr. Clarke, You have here, in this bag, 30 packets of pork scratchings. I'd like you to assess them for porkiness and scratchiness. Porkiness.
Porkiness. 4.
Scratchiness.
3.
Thank you very much.
Not a bad.
What? What am I
Do you see what is on top of that pork scratching?
Hair. Yes.
Hair. I think that actually adds a certain sense of terroir.
Well, the terroir is that of a pig. Its leg mainly, I think. But anyway, porkiness.
Quite good.
How good?
7.
Scratchiness.
7.
Hairiness.
9.
There.
It's only recommended for people with strong, healthy teeth. Not a bad sign. Can you see how the grease and the fat is sticking to the inside of the plastic bag? That's a very good sign. A very, very good sign. Basically, this is a pork scratching fact. The smarter the packaging, the less likely the pork scratching is to be a truly exhilarating, satisfying experience.
Porkiness.
9.
Oh, the crowd goes wild. Scratchiness. The point actually with flies, removing flies from cars by opening the window, is that it can work. Obviously the fly can't fly at 60 miles an hour, but the pressure outside of the car, the dynamic pressure, because the air is moving, will be lower than the pressure inside the car where the air is static, in accordance with Daniel Bernoulli.
What?
Daniel Bernoulli.
What is...
Daniel Bernoulli, a Swiss physicist, who worked out how the pressure reduces when the fluid is flowing faster over a surface, which is exactly why an aeroplane flies.
Yes.
Well, one theory about why an aeroplane flies, there is another one called the Coanda effect, but we won't go into that. But the reason the tops of convertible cars billow upwards and go very tight is not, as most people imagine, because air is rushing through the air vents and inflating it like a balloon. It's because the shape of the car roof is roughly an aerofoil section. So the air is accelerated over the top of the car and the pressure is reduced, but the air inside the car is stationary and therefore the pressure is higher. So it's actually being pushed up or sucked up, if you like.
I've actually forgotten the beginning of that sentence. What were you talking about?
Why flies can get out of a car when you open the window.
I thought since we're going like 60 miles an hour, the air will be hurtling in here. No decent self-respecting fly would even try to fly out of it.
No, but if you open the window a bit, the air isn't necessarily hurtling in because the air inside the car.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but it's not rushing over here because there is a body of static air. So if you have your window open,
if a fly tried to get out, it would get blown back all the time. It would be like buffeting itself against the padded cell.
For example, if you do, as cigar smokers know, if you drive along in the car, like this, I had this explained to me by a man who worked for Monte Cristo or Romeo e Julieta. He says he smokes cigars in the car, but he's adjusted the window such that he gets effectively a very gentle vacuum cleaner operating in that slot. So all the cigar smoke is removed from the car as he drives along. And what's good for cigar smoke is good for flies.
See that?
You weren't very interested in that, were you? Really?
I was very interested in it, and over the next 2 or 3 days I will mull it over.
And then you'll repeat it to me and I'll be flabbergasted that you're actually listening.
Yeah. I do try not to listen to you, but somehow I can't bloody stop it. It just the flow of
Drivel.
undisprovable drivel.
There it is again, the fly's back.
Come on, you fathead, out. Does it work?
No, I'll get him on mine.
No,
What?
shock it.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
you see? Whoa.
Very good.
Coming off.
Dear, oh dear. Keep your eye on the road.
So that was an experiment. So you said it was unprovable.
It's very good. It's here now. Yep.
I didn't prove it, but it demonstrated it, so I think that's good.
Which is the same as proving.
Not quite.
Yes, it is.
It isn't.
Demonstrating and proving is not the same.
No, that was one result. That wasn't entirely scientific. You'd have to do it many times and make sure it happened consistently to be able to say, yes, the fly is definitely sucked out of the window. It's a scientific fact.
Absolutely rubbish. It's just happened. You saw
It
it
happened
happen.
once.
I bet it's happened before, and I bet you've seen it.
Yes.
The only reason you tried to show it to me was because you've actually seen flies sucked out of the window before, and you knew it would work. You demonstrated it is proven.
Yes, but I didn't prove it. I demonstrated
you proved it.
I know it happens because I've worked on it before, but to prove it to you, we'd have to do that scientifically with a lot of flies, a lot of different
Hundreds of
speeds.
times.
Yes.
No, you demonstrated to me. Look, demonstrating it to me does not prove anything.
Exactly, that's what I just
disagree with
said.
you. No, but I might disagree with you. Therefore, you didn't demonstrate it. You proved it because I am persuaded.
Well, that doesn't make it. That's not a proof. Oz Clarke agrees, therefore it's proved.
It is.
It's not. That didn't happen anywhere in Newton's Principia Mathematica.
I wasn't born.
I believe the apple falls down because of gravity. Oz agreeth with me. Therefore,
'tis.
'tis. I refute it thus. Johnson, etc. Look, there's a Victorian urchin down there.
Gosh, it's a chimney sweep.
What are you doing? There are seats available on the train. You don't have to sit in the luggage rack. How long do you think he's been on this train?
Years. It goes backwards and forwards between Staley Bridge and Dewsbury.
Have you eaten recently?
This year, for instance.
This is what's happened in modern Britain. Let's just take a look at this because it's very, very important. Small children are living on the luggage rack of diesel multiple units. Are you making a video?
Hello.
Hello?
Did you see that a brief moment of emotion spread across his face for a brief second? Something approaching
Hope.
hope?
Yes. Do you know what he's like? He's like Tiny Tim. One day he'll get on this train and he won't be there and just his mobile phone will be lying on the floor.
See the rain sort of coming down onto the windscreen here. It's tiny little droplets. Did you know that the weight of water in a typical cumulonimbus cloud is the same as the weight of 80 elephants?
No. That's a pretty ridiculous statistic.
It's a damn good statistic.
How many cats and dogs is that way?
You have to decide how big the cat or dog is. Is it a mastiff or is it a corgi?
80 elephants.
80 elephants.
Who works that out and why is that relevant?
When you look at this cloud up there, at this kind of latitude, in England, you can grow grapes, you can grow hops, those kind of things. You just can't in Ireland. Every single day it's a little bit wet in the morning, however lovely it gets during the sort of lunchtime and afternoon. And that means that hops will just develop mildew and grapes will just develop rot and mildew and things. And you try and eventually you have to say, look, we can't do it. These westerly winds here, the first place they hit after they leave America is Ireland. So they're absolutely full of water. First place they hit is Ireland. They dump on Ireland. Ow! If this thing hits me on the head one more time...
Please, I'm begging of you, get dressed.
Why do you look at me?
Because we've been up for 2 hours. It's
been
taken you 2 hours to put a pair of 35-year-old grunts on. Just go and put some clothes on. Any, doesn't matter.
He's a 35-year-old. It means you've been looking at the back. You've been checking out their pre-decimal
I know
state.
they'll be old because you'll... have declared that boxer shorts were better in the olden days.
They were better in the old
Oh,
days.
seriously, Oz, please don't just stand there being fatuous and clever. Please go and get dressed. I'm going to go and clean the car. Seems it'll take you at least 2 hours to get dressed.
Were you rude to gingers at school?
It's not because you're ginger.
You probably didn't know I was a ginger, did you? Until I showed you those beautifully formed hairs on my stomach.
The bottom half of that door pocket is entirely full of condiments stolen from motorway service stations. I'm fully aware that he does this deliberately because he knows I hate junk in the car. Bloody peanuts everywhere. Half-eaten thing of processed runny cheese left in the car where it'll melt if the sun ever comes out. The spent battery from his personal little tape recorder thing ran out, took it out, threw it on the floor. Crisp bag, piece of paper, empty bottle, empty can. There are lots of things I admire about Oz Clarke. He's an enthusiast about things, he's knowledgeable, he's educated, he's refined, he's sophisticated, but he's useless and he can't tidy up after himself. Iron brew, dandelion and burdock, stuff we could use in the caravan. Books about beer, books about wine. Oz's post. I mean, what the hell is his post doing in my car? I'm aware that I have a bit of a reputation for being anal about this sort of thing, but the fact is, this is a coach-built Rolls-Royce convertible, and just because the roof comes off, Oz treats it as a skip. And I think it's disrespectful. Oz Clarke, how the devil are you? Haven't seen you for hours.
I've been letting you do what you do best. What menial tasks?
Something useful.
James! Stop it!
What?
Stop it! You have no respect for my underwear.
That's just an old rag I found in the caravan.
This is not an old rag. You know perfectly well. This is the second time you've done this.
It's all right, I took the clean ones out of the wardrobe.
My beer is going to piss on your beer.
What he doesn't know is that last night I took the lid off and pissed in his. There.
The last time that this caravan was used was for a health and efficiency shoot.
You what?
Health and efficiency. Did you never have that when you were at school?
What does it mean?
Health and Efficiency is a magazine.
Never heard of it.
It's a naturist magazine that you used
From
to
the
get when you were...
1920s?
Well, not for the 1920s, I said. When you were at school, not when I was at school. The Health and Efficiency magazine, they always had ugly people with very pale skins, wearing shoes but nothing else, in caravans like this. Often, I suspect, photographed through these carefully, what one might call shortened curtains.
Let me just rewind a bit.
Why?
As a schoolboy,
Yes.
you and your friends...
Thank you for including them, because I would have done so. I don't want to. I want to share the guilt. No,
Yes.
the responsibility.
You secreted about your dorm or whatever you had.
Dorm.
Yes. Some
Mattress.
magazines about naturism full of pictures of pale, ugly people.
Yeah.
And you...
Wearing shoes. mostly filmed through gaps in the curtains in small caravans.
What? Why didn't you just have a copy of Razzle like everybody else?
Razzle? Razzle?
Or Fiesta or whatever.
Or Wazzle? Razzle, that's pathetic. Razzle is a top shelf magazine, health and efficiency you could pick up with your grandmother.
Yeah, but you wouldn't.
Your grandmother's probably in it.
That's why. Deep river, my heart is over Jordan. Deep river. I can't remember the next
I
line.
want to go down to campsite, is that right?
Not quite.
Nearly, though. What's the next line?
Where all is peace, calm.
No, you made that up. Chunky was my dog, a beautiful, tiny little sprightly corgi, and I loved him dearly. And in our village, there was a great big mastiff who Chunky hated, and they were always growling about each other. And one day, the inevitable happened. They had a massive fight. And I came home to find an absolute horror, poor old Chunky lying on his back with his stomach open, and the vet there saying, we'll have to put him down. And my mum, God bless my mum, she said to my father, she said, Owen, she said, go up to the pub and get me a case of Guinness.
I'll let you off that one, as this is an emotional story.
Get me a case of stout. And she took the case back of stout, and she mixed it with warm milk, and we fed Chunky. And within 2 days, Chunky, with his stomach all sewn up, was waddling about the place.
Really?
He was walking around on 3 legs. One leg didn't work any longer, which was a bad thing because a bit later that year, he was walking along the pavement with only 3 legs, unbalanced, fell off the pavement and went under a truck. But apart from that, it was fantastic.
Do people around here remember Chunky? He went under a truck in Kent, didn't he?
Yes.
That is slightly despicable, actually, Clark. You told me all that story about Chunky and the small Ozzo Clark, bereaved of his beloved pet, but all you actually did was reveal that you grew up in Kent, didn't you? You grew up in Kent.
All right, James, all right. I
want this to be the correct version.
I mostly grew up in Kent.
I knew it.
But my heart and my spirit lies in Ireland. We have been defined by beer in Britain for a very, very long time. When the Romans arrived here, they found that, the place was already awash in beer. And then we had all the Dark Ages. And during the Dark Ages, of course, the repositories of any kinds of civilization were the monasteries which survived. And inside those monasteries, they were all brewing away like mad. And I have to say, clearly the ordinary people were at it as well, because when saints used to come around and visit Britain occasionally and write things in their manuals, there's a bloke in the 8th century, I think it was St. Boniface, he wrote to the Archbishop of Canterbury. He said, look mate, he said, the Greeks, the Italians, the Romanians, the French, the Germans, I visit all them, and they're not clattered all the time. I come to you lot, and you're always absolutely, you're 7 seas over. That was in the 8th century. In the 12th century, I think it was William of Malmesbury, another of these blokes, he wrote a history called The History of the Kings of England, and he said the trouble with the English is they're always absolutely on the floor, fluted. This drinking too much thing is not a recent phenomenon, and it has basically always been centred around ale or beer.
Well, it follows then that it hasn't done us any harm.
Well,
if it's been going on since the 8th century, the population has expanded, standard of living's gone up, more people have a television now than had one then. So all this drinking hasn't damaged us, has it? It hasn't destroyed society.
No, but it
helped
doesn't
them all.
necessarily follow that because we're sort of absolutely bluted all the time that we actually are a better society for it. I don't think that would follow.
After 300 yards, bear left.
You know what you can do with that, actually, which might amuse you? If you touch the screen and go into the sort of setup thing, change voice.
Yeah.
So press change voice, and you can change it, I think, to an Irish person.
After 800 yards,
800.
turn left.
There you
then
go.
turn right.
And turn right. Now, and you think I sound cod Irish? What about him?
He's some actor from Yorkshire.
Can you send us the biggest cod Irish jerk that we can get? And say, will you be cod, Kevin?
Yes, no.
I'm sorry, he will now.
Oz Clark's not available, but we've got this Sean bloke. Anyway, feel free
Left
to
turn
change
ahead.
it into Mandarin.
Okay, tell you what, I will try these and you must tell me what they are.
Okay.
Después de 300 metros,
Spa-
ha llegado a su
Spanish.
destino.
Metros is
Yeah, that's
Spanish.
Spanish. Well done.
Yeah.
What about this one?
Μετά από 300 μέτρα, φτάσατε στον προορισμό σας.
Greek.
Well done.
Yeah.
Intelligence, James. I can't bear this. Now, you like this one?
700 yards, ieșiți, apoi intrați în
that was
sensul
obscene.
giratoriu, ieșiți, apoi intrați în sensul giratoriu și ieșiți în dreapta la a doua ieșire. După 200 de yards, intrați în sensul giratoriu și ieșiți în dreapta la a doua ieșire.
What language is that? Romance.
I think it's Romanian.
So every third word is
Intrați în
shit.
sensul giratoriu și ieșiți în dreapta la a doua ieșire.
That must be the word for yards or meters or something.
What's arse mean then?
That's fantastic. Everybody in the nation, turn your sat nav to Romanian.
Romanians.
So right.
După 100 de yards, intrați în sensul giratoriu și ieșiți în stânga la prima ieșire. Intrați în sensul giratoriu și ieșiți în stânga la prima ieșire.
I'm gonna have to stop.
Intrați în sensul giratoriu și ieșiți în stânga la prima ieșire.
Please don't say it again. It's gonna kill me.